Hello guys, Cryptic here, back with another video. In this video, I'm gonna show you what makes people hooked. So let's get straight to the video. First and foremost, what you need to have is a long-term goal. So if you guys want to watch that video, go ahead and do it. It's amazing. So first is a long-term goal is really a necessity when it comes to creating a game that people will want to play. The game does it really well is the farming sim Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley uses the imagination of ours to making our, like for example, why do you play Stardew Valley? If you haven't played one, make sure you do. Stardew Valley uses the fantasizing about what my farm will look like and when it's at a certain point. And for that reason, people tend to play that game for hours and hours and hours. This is really important when it comes to Stardew Valley. So let's take an example. And let's take some of the good examples. The first example is obviously Stardew Valley. The second example does it really well is Don't Starve. Don't Starve uses the mechanic. There has to be some reason to change the situation. Don't Starve uses this really well because Don't Starve, what it does, it takes the end goal like a good and great farm and then it changes it. So if you don't survive in a particular day of time, then a bison or whatever this guy is will come to you and then kill you. So you need to create a foundation or a base. That's why am I running it for? Because the over and over again, this will prove that I need to survive, not because for its own sake. The world will change and I need to adapt to that situation so I can survive. So you can stick to it. So the power of hooked mechanics is curiosity. So when it comes to game design, give curiosity. How curiosity is built? By teasing. Yes, you don't say something, you need to tease that this will come, this is locked, this is something, there is something behind that particular door you need to know about. For that reason, people can play your game for hours. Remember, when it comes to they're hooked, I don't mean addictions. Addictions and hooked are really different things. A responsible designer, a responsible game designer should not aim for addictions. What are addictions? Ticker boxes, laws aversion, using some psychological trick to manipulate so you can play more, daily rewards and crap like that. You don't need to do that. You need to make sure that adding a sense of meaning, a sense of impact to the world. If your game, when something is happening, when the impact is happening, anything, any behavior, you need to feel that this is impact. The best way to do that is using sound effect, changing of things, changing the world environment. The more it is, the more I can see it, the best it will be when it comes to game design philosophy. Okay, after you have added a long-term goal, you need to have multiple activities to do because god damn it, I played a lot of games and most of them is doing the same crap over and over again. Yes, Stardew Valley is the same crap over and over again, but the meaning is different. Have multiple activities to do. So how do you create multiple activities to do? There are multiple ways, but the best way is to have short-term goals. In Stardew Valley, we have a community market, so you can take your things and put that into the community market. So we have collections, we have mining, we have different types of activities so you can do. Think of it like GTA. If you play GTA 5 or GTA 4 or any type of GTA games, we have missions, right? You have multiple activities to do in a particular mission. Your job as a game designer is to create multiple activities for the player to do so they don't get bored. If a game is boring, if a game is repetitive without a long-term goal, without the short-term goals, it can be pretty bad, pretty boring to play. So after you have teased the player, so this will come, this is coming or something like that, the way the teasing part works, you need to make sure that you do it as consistently as possible. Like, let's take an example. In Uncharted 4, you have couple of couple of phases to go through. For example, you have the phase where the player have cinematics. We have the phase where the player is playing. After, we have puzzles, we have calm, and the pacing is really nicely done in Uncharted games. So if you want to learn about pacing, go play the Uncharted game and think about how can I do that, because intensity, over intensity, any game, if it's over intensified, then player will get bored or the player will get exhausted. So you don't want to make the player to be exhausted. Don't ever try to do that. Don't ever aim for it. So it can be pretty bad for your game health. Now in this part, we'll look at some of the tips that can be used to multiple genres, so you can make your game, whatever you are making, feel much more alive. So let's look at some examples. You need to make sure, if you're creating a 2D game, make sure the bullets are big, they make impact. Anything that creates an impact is a polished phase. Do this in the polished phase, not in when you're creating the MVP or when you're working on the main phase of the game. After you have made the main game, now it's time for adding some polish. You will add big bullets as much as possible. If it's a bullet game, obviously, then make it impact. Like when the bullet hit something, make sure that it adds an impact, it adds a force, so it goes a little bit backward as well. You need to make sure adding a sense of contribution. Any behavior that adds a meaning to the game is worth it. Code it, but in the polished phase, not in the MVP phase. Okay, so you have done it, adding an impact to the world. Every behavior, small, big, whatever, you need to make a contribution to the game. You need to create an impact to the game. Let's look at another example that has been used in stealth games. Every kill must be calculated, and this has to be a precise calculation. You can do two types of things. You can add a reward motivation, like you can add some type of reward things that the player will get, the satisfaction will get, and you can add a fear motivation. Yes, the fear motivation is really important when it comes to, you need to punish the player depending on if they did good on the game or not. How do you make the player motivated to play the game long periods of time? Challenge is a positive feedback loop. How you're doing in the game is really important when it comes to motivation, because motivation comes from rewards come from hard work. But player does the hard work, but you don't give any reward. That's the problem, because the player will burn out really soon. So keep the player, you need to make sure to add as much as reward as possible. The simple things needs to have rewarding, satisfying to do, and mystery. You need to add a mystery to the game, as much as mystic as possible. Atmosphere is a great thing if it's an atmospheric game. The fear of the unknown if it's a horror game, but a sense of challenge, a good challenge is really required. You need to nail the enemy, the artificial intelligence, and how it behaves. You need to make sure the main core mechanic is out on the place first. Then add or remove the behaviors depending on what you want. And that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next video.